All right, so we got the Pocket Change market report for July 27, 2022. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. This is your midweek edition of this report where we take a look at the most relevant eBay sales of your run-of-the-mill errors and varieties that people are finding out there in the wild. Now, when I mean the wild, obviously just going through change or bankrolls is the easiest way of sourcing out a few of these, but if you know what you're looking for, you could always cherry pick some of the local dealers and coin shows. Oftentimes, a lot of the errors and varieties that you see for sale and that have sold here week in and week out, the dealers really don't care too much about them. Some would say that they're too minor or, they just don't deal in them, things like that. So why not pick those up at a much cheaper rate and then go ahead and resell it or add it to your collection. So yeah, there's a myriad of different ways that you could obtain these coins. But something else that I think needs a little bit of attention is the fact of going out online or locally and buying big fuller size lots, just buying stuff in bulk and then turning around and selling them individually. Oftentimes when someone sells something in bulk, they're willing to accept a lot cheaper amount of money or a lot cheaper price rather, for the coins, on an average, rather than trying to sell it individually. So if you're looking to, possibly double or triple up your money, we have a number of lots that have sold here this week that we're going to talk about. The market in general is just puttering along. People are finding the coins that they need, and they are simply buying them up and adding them to their collection. The brand new Wilma Mankiller quarter, of course, has been the talk of just hot debate these days. We have yet again another example of the retained cut obverse type that sold this week at the highest price so far. And that now the prices are starting to normalize to where I feel like a level in which people are more aware of this coin and this error particularly. And we're just going to continually see this thing go up because they are quite scarce compared to some of the other errors rather that we've seen here in the last year or two. And these things will eventually dry up. There's just really not a whole lot of them to go around. And I think we're eventually going to see, like I had proclaimed, and boy, it was a bold proclamation, we're going to see that first $1,000 sale here before long. I would say give it the holidays. You're definitely going to see a few of those pop as people come back into the hobby after taking a little bit of a vacation. So let's go ahead and jump right into the listings from the last 24 to 48 hours. Again, all the coins are raw. We don't talk about graded coins for the obvious reasons, is that they're just too expensive to do. But let's go ahead and talk a little bit about this coin here that was actually included in boxes of Cheerios cereal back a long time ago, 22 years ago. They had released a turn of the century Lincoln cent with the year 2000 on it, and the same goes for a Sacagawea dollar. Now, the dollar coin, all right, was kind of a big deal because it's the newest planchet used. This manganese alloy planchet replaced the outgoing copper nickel clad that we saw on the Susan B. Anthony. And kind of a big deal. It was called the gold dollar for a reason. People were a little bit excited about it, and so was, who was it, General Mills or whoever, whoever owns the rights to Cheerios. I think it's General Mills. I might be wrong, but though. But they did this pretty neat promotion. They've teamed up with the U.S. Mint at the time to package up and include in specially marked boxes of Cheerios cereal either a Lincoln cent or a dollar coin. Now, the dollar coin, we all know, is a very famous coin because it has a completely engraved reverse on there, and the coins are worth thousands of dollars. There just wasn't a lot of them that were produced. However, the Lincoln cents, they were produced quite a bit. There were a lot of these made, and they're not particularly rare. You could go anywhere and find a Lincoln cent still in the original Cheerios card. And what's pretty cool is that it does have its own built-in certificate of authenticity that you see there. Again, that's all printed by the U.S. Mint. So if you have one of these, you're looking to sell it, I'm happy to say that they still have some value, in spite of the fact that they're only worth a penny to a lot of people. This presentation with the card and the coin still in there sold for $12.58 with 6 bids. Again, not particularly rare. I know of coin dealers that have these on hand. They have them for about $5 to $10, but this is kind of like a pretty good jumping off point for a sale of this type where it was organically bid up. So this is, again, $10-15 is where I expect these to continue on for the foreseeable future. The next one that we have here, man, I'm willing to bet that a lot of you don't know that this coin even exists. But the formative years Lincolns had a lot going for them. This particular design right here, the formative, has Lincoln sitting on a log reading a book. All right, and there are a number of really, really nice doubled thumbs, doubled die reverses that exist. There is, of course, the a braided die reverse where Lincoln is virtually sitting on air. But yeah, check out this one here. This is actually on the obverse of the coin. It's found on the Philadelphia minted example. Now, if you look at the coin, this thing has circulated quite a bit, even has a spot of corrosion on the obverse. But have no fear, the coin is still going to be desired by someone. And this one has a pretty sizable die crack along with what appears to be a die chip that just barely makes it to the rim. You have all sorts of little interior die breaks here, but the crack goes from the rim into Lincoln's jacket. This one right here, in spite of its condition issues, did sell for $5.99. Again, the minor stuff does matter because there are buyers for things like these as collectors. And error enthusiasts collect these by progression of these type of errors. The next one that we have here is a coin that I've talked about on a number of occasions, and it always seems to be that a lot of the 2-feather buffaloes only can be found on, well, pretty worse for the wear examples. You don't see too many of these that show up on mint state graded type of coins. But these are, again, widely collected. It's one of the most popularly collected varieties within the Buffalo Nickel series. This one that we have here is a 1919D. So the third feather is braided away. There are some examples that I'll show just a light remnant of that, and that's okay. Still considered a 3-feather, or a 2-feather rather, by most attributors. This particular coin, again, probably more along the lines of a good, albeit it does have a full date on there. You could still read it. Sold for $25. Some of the earlier dated examples in this condition tend to fetch a pretty healthy amount of money on the secondary market. So if you are a cherry picker, you're at a local coin show or something like that, and there's always dealers that have bins of these things. And even cherry picking examples that have no readable date are also fun as well. All right, quick little update on the Sally Ride American Women Quarter that exhibits the strong clash die. Now, these things had sold as high as $100. There was even one strange sale that was like, I don't know, what, $400 or something dumb like that, which I think it was artificially bid up to that amount. It wasn't an actual realized sale. Just a little market manipulation, that's all it is. But back when there were only a few of them around, they did command a much higher premium on these. So here we are, a number of weeks later. People have had the opportunity to try and look for this coin. Kind of hard to take your eye off the ball because there is that Wilma Mankiller and all of its crazy, strange errors that you can find on that coin have kind of overshadowed what we have going on here on the previous release with that strong clash die. So the seller did a really good job with the arrows, just with all the text on there. They even did a quick little overlay that you see there on the right-hand side. Just an amazing job here. And but these coins, they don't quite sell for $100 anymore, but they are still money. This one right here sold for $36.60. I've seen actually a number of examples sell, which means that there is quite a bit of these to go around. All right, I've seen others sell for as low as about $24, $25. So this is kind of like where the new reality is for these. The market has settled down a little bit, but make no mistake, they're still very desired because, you know, it's a much modern coin and people love their Clash dies. The next one that we have here, this is a coin that I am blessed to have found at least one of. They are quite difficult, but believe it or not, this is a doubled die, 1955. Okay, probably not what you were expecting because there is the FS101 with the incredibly crazy doubled die. But did you guys know that this one exists? This is the FS102 or the WDDO number 2, whichever you want to use. Is a coin that is remarkably more rare than the FS101, all right? But it's not nearly as expensive, only because it's not as spectacular as that one. But when we look at the motto, "In God We Trust," it shows some of the nicest doubling that you'll find. If it wasn't for the FS101, this one would get a lot more attention. If you look at the words "in" and then a few letters in "God," you can see the extra doubledness to it. I mean, you know, it's just it's a really nice coin. And you'll obviously want to find the early mints or the early state of this particular early die state rather of this particular coin, because it's going to show the splitting and all that great stuff, the notching on there as well. The later die states are really not spectacular. They just look like mush. This particular coin right here did sell for a decent amount of money. It does have a few rim dings to it. $79.75 with 3 bids is where this one ultimately sold at yesterday. Now here's a 1953A $2 legal note, legal tender note rather, with its red seals. But this one was pitched as a miscut, and I think I believe that. The overprint, the third print with the serial numbers and the district seal seem a little bit kind of like misaligned, but it's not too terribly off kilter. But you know, when you look at the overall note, you see the extra wide margin on the left side, but when you flip it over, same thing here. You have a pretty wide margin on the right side. So I'll just say that this is probably more of a miscut than a misaligned print. This one ended up selling for $38.48. Again, you know, relatively minor. You'll go through like dealer stock looking for stuff like this, and they'll overlook this. This is like way too minor for them. But if you wanted to, you could pick these up and then sell them. You know, oftentimes I see them go, you know, with a minor miscut for about $20-$25. This note is in much better shape than some of the other ones I've seen. All right, our first lot to talk about. Again, you buy the lots so you could resell them on a singular coin basis. Okay, so you have to take into consideration how much the total lot sells for and then break it down. If you've done your research, you'll know if it's worth buying, especially at the current levels, especially if they're being bid up organically as a standard auction. So we have a lot of 10 Lincoln cent errors. They all seem to be either off-center or a broad strike. And they're all different dates, which is pretty neat. There is also a blank plancha in the mix, but keep in mind, the coin on the bottom middle is off-center, but it looks like it's damaged as well. So, you know, take everything into consideration. Take into consideration condition, because, you know, even though these are mint errors and some of them are quite unique and one-offs, condition still does matter, you know, to the people that do collect into these. Here's a quick little reverse shot. You'll see that, you know, just looking at both sides means the world. The top middle coin looks to have a little bit of damage, but that could all be a part of the pack-out packaging process as they roll these up. And, you know, they do scrape up when they're, you know, because off-center coins, aren't perfectly flat sometimes. They could cup a little bit, so they're not going to go through the tumblers and the machinery all that cleanly. So this 10 coin lot, and I'll let you guys be the judge of this, and you guys can talk amongst yourselves, sold for $30. All right, so that puts the per piece price average at $3. That seems pretty good, but I'll let you guys, kind of decipher that and, decide if whether or not that was a steal of a deal. I know what it is. The next one that we have here is a coin that we're all too familiar with. 1998 Lincoln Memorial Cent with the wide AM reverse. You can see a pretty substantial gap between the letters A and M in America. They're actually supposed to be touching or pretty close to it on a standard reverse. This particular coin right here is not rare, but people still do like them. The prices have gone up a little bit on these. They used to be available for a song and a dance, $5-10 on occasion. This one right here sold for $24.80. So, call it a rarity? Not so fast. These are, again, very available if you want one. Now, this one came across, and I said to myself, wow, I kind of like this one. This is a 2019 P Lincoln Shield Cent, and you probably already see it. It's got a really nice die crack that goes from the rim and into the date. You'll notice that there's a few kind of like various cracks, and they're going in different, directions, and they have little interior die breaks. That's what those little die chips are. But this is actually very spectacular, and the seller did a fantastic job capturing the close-up images. If you're able to get these close-up images the same way that the seller did, you're going to make a pretty strong argument for how much you're selling it for, right? This one right here, I feel like it's kind of a bargain at $10, but, it's $10 and not 1 cent. So it's 1,000 times face value. And again, if you're able to find multiples of these in rolls and you sell them for $10 a pop, I mean, that all adds up. And you're looking for a pretty good payday by the time the dust settles. Now, here's a coin right here that probably you may or may not find roll hunting, but more so, this is just a really nice key date 1914D. It's legit. It's not a ground down 44D, which we've seen quite a bit. You're going to have a pretty big gap between the 9 and the 1 in the date. But this is a coin that pops up on occasion in older passed down albums, like those old Blue Whitman bookshelf albums. I've actually found a few of these in there around the same condition. A lot of these circulated quite a bit. Finding one in mid-state or even AU, that's half the battle right there. So this one right here is just an overall very acceptable key date, kind of an album filler. It might even be just a really good type piece as well. I would say it's probably more so like a VG8, kind of grade. This one ended up selling for $165, which is always a solid sale. These things are cash money if you're able to find them, along with some of the other well-known key dates within the Lincoln Cent series. The next one that we have here is a tougher date, 1989 Lincoln Memorial Cent. It's off center by about 15%. Just a beautiful coin. That'll end up in a date set of this particular era, and that's the big reason why people do buy these. This one right here is sold for $19, so a very attractive looking coin, generally problem free. Now this one's neat, and I'm glad to have seen this one here sold. We have a 1969 mid set. All right, so it's a PD and S set. It does have the 40% silver half dollar in there, but someone had some pretty good eyes here and ended up finding the coin you see there on the right. It's a 69S with a curved clip error on there, packaged right in this U.S. Mint set. So someone was astute enough to find this. The set by itself generally sells for around $10 or less. But when you find a mint error and it's still in the packaging, and this is probably a pretty good reason why you keep these in here. they'll sell for quite a bit more. If you sold the coin and you say ripped it out of there and sold it on its own, it's probably a $10 coin. But because it's in the US Mint packaging, and guys, take note, this one right here ended up selling for $59.03, which is a whole heck of a lot more than just accepting $10 for it. So, yeah, really nice pickup here on this one. And yeah, always be on the lookout for these errors in not only mint sets, but proof sets. The proof ones are worlds away more valuable than any mint set error. And here's another rim clip, this time on a 53D silver Washington quarter. Not the greatest looking specimen, although, it does appear to be kind of like an about uncirculated level of grade. It does have a little bit of a dig under the words "In God We Trust." But yeah, I mean, this is something that maybe you might have in your bulk silver lot, for all you silver stackers out there. Again, the difference between accepting melt value, which is like, let's say $5 on this coin, I'd rather sell it for the $23 that this one sold for, and that's bid up with 7 bids. And here's another one that we've seen quite a few times. This is a 2005P West Virginia State Quarter with a Cud die break on the reverse. This is actually a very common anomaly on this particular date because the design goes all the way to the edge of the rim. And it's kind of like a weak area on the die. So when the piece of die falls off after so many strikes, it'll develop a large raised blob that goes from the rim and into the design space of the coin. Here's how common this one is. That's an impressive Cud, but it did sell for $12.57. Again, quite common, and they are out there. So for you folks on the East Coast, still going through quarters and you're missing out on a few of these, make sure you're not. Okay, so 2020 was a pretty magical year for a number of reasons. Okay, we had the W minted, quarter program that took the world by storm. But there were a few really cool errors that came out of these rolls, one of which is the 2020 Lincoln Shield cent. This one is off-center, even has a little bit of a partial tilted collar on there. Yeah, you do have exposed zinc, but that was part of the process when these things were minted. That copper layer is razor thin, and it doesn't take much to expose the zinc. Again, a coin that exists out there in actually great numbers. This one actually sold for $18.99. More about this coin here later in the show. And here's one of my perennial favorite varieties. It's the 2004D Wisconsin Statehood Quarter with the low leaf variant. So this one has the extra engraved, intentionally made, might I add. I'm not going to say that this was by mistake. But this one has the low leaf variety there, which is not supposed to be there. The coin is in really nice shape. I would say it's probably like a low-end mid-state example. This one sold for $99.94. These were distributed and released in the Texas, Oklahoma, Arkansas region of the U.S. back in the day. And they're still being found in that area as we're talking right now. Oh boy, well, we have another confirmed sale of the brand new Wilma Mankiller Mega Error. This one, however, is just the obverse retained cut die break. You can see it right there atop Washington's head. And this one has the strike through. All right, so it has all of the weakness on both the obverse and reverse of the coin. It does not have the major die break or crack on the reverse. So we saw one of these sell about a week ago for just over $300. So this another example at the time of recording, which is today, silly, was the only one available online. And I don't know if it was, because I didn't see this one. I think it was sold as a short term or a quick turnaround, like a 1 day or a 3 day, because I didn't see this. This coin ended up hammering at $513.86 with 10 bids. That is much more like it. I could only speculate that the example that has the actual die crack on the reverse would command a boatload of money. Way more than what this one does. So yeah, we're seeing the prices move on this coin and this error in a huge way. And there's going to be a short window where you're still going to be able to find these before the the Nina Otero quarter comes out here before fall time hits. So yeah, I mean, by the time that happens, people are going to forget about this one, or a lot of examples are going to become lost just through attrition and again just saturating the circulation. Group with more quarters being produced by the mint. All right, so again, another favorite here with currency hunters is going to be the star notes. Now, this is not just any star note. This is actually a duplicate serial number star. It's a 2013 B, which is what you're looking for. It's a star note, but the Washington, D.C. and the Fort Worth BEP facilities printed the same run of serial numbers. All right, so people are finding these. They're trying to find the nicer examples, and they're trying to make up the same serial numbers of what was produced at the DC BEP facility. That was back in 2013. And the Fort Worth facility printed the same run of serial numbers in 2017. All right, so yeah, these are hot off the presses. Not presses, but this is hot news, and people are constantly trading these at a record level that we just don't see on other star notes. This one right here sold for $24.99 with 19 bids. Here's just a really nice 1983 Washington quarter. This one's off center by about, 7-8%. It's very minor. And the coin's in decent shape. These are, of course, desired for any date set that is off-center struck oriented, I guess. This one right here ended up selling for $22. And again, it's not a rare date. We've seen 83 Ps and Ds sell before, and it's not going to change. All right, another cool error, or variety rather, not an error, but this coin right here I found a few of before. It's the 1955 D over D Repunched mint mark. Note that the reverse has some toning to it. Don't know if it's real or artificial, but it is on there. It is a nice mint state example with a few spots, but the biggest part of this coin, it's got that RPM on there. So the secondary D was punched south of the primary mint mark. Back in the day, when the mint marks were punched in the working die by hand, there was a lot of room for error. And this method of adding the mint mark to the working die went all the way up to 1989. So you can imagine that RPMs existed even during the 80s, and those ones are quite rare and valuable. This one right here ended up selling for $19.90, and they are available in droves out there, especially for those of you that like to hunt through wheat cent coins. Now here's a 2021 Washington crossing the Delaware crown die chip error coin. We've seen this a million times, but this is kind of like the more medium stage of this progression. You can see it's a little bit smaller than the biggest version of it. This one right here is also in nice shape as well. This was a nice $40 bill sale. So again, sales very strong, albeit we're not seeing too many of the later stage progression of the crown die chip sell for over $100 anymore. A lot of them are between $80, $90. And by the way, I still have mine available for sale on my eBay. So if you guys are looking for a nice example, and it is under $100, it's the latest progression stage. Yeah, a little self-promotion never hurts. But yeah, it's available out there if you still want one. And it's a nice mint condition shape. Mint state condition. That's what I meant to say. We're not talking about sports cards here. Okay, we have a few more lots. How about this 5-coin lot? All 2001 off-center struck coins. Just really nice. I'm willing to bet that these were all found in a mint-sewn bag back in the day. And the coins, again, are all pretty good. Nothing too distracting condition-wise. But yeah, I mean, this 5-coin lot sold for $58.95. The question is, Was this a good buy for this amount of money? Would you be able to flip these if you wanted to for, say, $20 a coin? It will get you not quite to double the profit, but it's something. And also to keep in mind when you buy these lots to resell them, they're not going to be a quick flip. These are going to be kind of like fillers for your eBay store. Some will sell maybe in a day or two. Some will sell in a few months. You just never know. Oh, by the way, that lot did sell for $58.95. I think I already said that. All right, so we got more of the 2020 Lincoln Shield Cent off-center strikes. Do you all have partial tilted collars? And you guys are probably thinking, well, can't really find those in circulation. Well, probably not anymore because someone found a grip of them. Here's 9 in this particular lot. All very nice. Some have a little bit more circulation wear than the others. And this one lot sold for $71.75. Again, putting the per piece average at $8 a piece. So either you're going to add this to your collection, or you're going to, brave up and resell these, which you can do. Again, we saw the one earlier that's not in nearly as great a shape, sell for $18.99. So you could probably get close to doubling up your money on something like this. And from the same seller, we have another group here. This time, this particular 10 coin lot has a 2018 in the mix and 9 other 2020s. All the same, although these look a little bit more circulated, but not too bad. This lot right here sold for $69, so that's a $6.90 per piece average. So again, I could totally see being able to double up your money on something like this. Again, putting each coin up for $17.99 or $18.99, out the door shipped. And then your shipping is going to be like 80 cents because you put it in a plain white envelope and just send it off. I mean, it's like easy tendies here. So yeah, I mean, this is a really good lot right here that you could pick up and resell on a pretty good deal. So yeah, $6.90 is pretty nice per piece average here. All right, statehood quarter errors are just highly coveted for every reason, that people collect some of the other errors that we've seen on the show. But yeah, this is a really nice high-grade South Carolina 2000p, a little bit off-center or maybe just a little bit broad-struck. It could be either or. It's very minor. This one right here sold for $16. Good-looking coin. And we did have a few of the American Samoa struck through face back quarters. We have one here that's a little bit circulated, but that's okay. 2020p. You can see it has a little bit of a strike through there on the left side of the face. The picture's flipped upside down, by the way. You also have those feeder finger scrapes in the fields there on the left side. So this coin ended up selling for $68.98. Still a very popular coin for people to pick up just so they could have an example. This is kind of like the poor man's version of it because the bigger version, one in which we had sold here in the last couple days, is the king daddy of all of these. Now this one hurts my heart. This coin looks like it was buried in the ground for the longest time ever, but it's if you see it, it's a 1895 Indian head cent. It's off center by about 10%-ish, somewhere around there. But you can see just the pitting all over the coin. That this coin in problem-free condition is a very valuable one, probably $300, $400, $500, because it's in the 1800s. But this one right here is kind of like, I guess, the bargain type of this coin. It ended up selling for $92.99. These usually don't get any cheaper than this. All right, so yeah, even coins with tons of problems like this, there's always going to be that one person that wants it. So make sure you're not underselling them. And if you do come across them, realize that these are going to be a really quick seller once you get them on eBay. All right, we didn't have too much currency on today's PCMR, but the last few that we have highlighted for you this week are quite nice. Here's a 1977 $20 bill. Front of the note just shows your general circulation wear. Nothing really to write home to mother about. But when you flip it over, boy, it's got a pretty good size solvent smear, which is just the ink smear. But you can see that it's the same color of the ink used to produce the back of the notes. Generally, you only find these on the older, small size head notes. So your best bet is to try and cherry pick one of these at a dealer who's just looking to blow one out because they don't deal in currency or paper money, or errors for that matter. This one right here sold for $82.50. Ink smears are generally kind of like low on the totem pole for paper money error collectors. And this one right here is really awesome. It's a 1995 $1 bill. You can see that there is an omission of all of the overprint on the front of the note, and with good reason. It was inadvertently printed on the back. Now, the seller mentioned that this was a front-to-back wet ink transfer. I disagree. You know why? Because, well, number one, the print is completely missing from the front. On a wet ink transfer, usually you'll still have that on there. But the overprint that was instead printed on the reverse is oriented correctly. If it was a wet ink transfer, it would be mirrored. So, you know, the serial numbers and the seals and all that stuff would be in reverse. The black seal would be on the right. The green would be on the left. You get the big idea. So this note right here is a bomb. This one ended up selling for $343.99. 24 bids got you there on this one. Everybody and their brother was keeping an eye out for this really major error. Hey, here's the other one. This is the bigger form of that strike through on the American Samoa back quarter. There wasn't an obverse picture, but at that point, does it really matter? Hopefully the front of the coin looks as good as the reverse. This thing is in really nice shape. This one, easy sell, $230.50 was the final hammer price with 11 bids strong on there. A coin that will age gracefully and still be expensive. It doesn't matter how you slice it up. And even circulated examples will be coveted because all the nice mint state ones will be gone from the market. Now, Ike dollar errors is no joke. We just don't see a lot of them. And this is a massive curved clip. It's actually, if you look close enough, has two clips on there. All right, so you got the big one. All right. Pac-Man definitely had his way with this one, and he also had a much shallower clip right here. But take a look at the corresponding opposite edge rim. You'll see that there's a lot of Blakesley effect. So that's that flattening of that area when these were struck. Obviously, the metal flow is kind of funny on these at that point, so it's not going to strike up the opposite side edge completely. So this coin right here, again, it's a bicentennial, which matters a lot too. Sold for $133. But you know what's really interesting? Is this coin looks like it's circulated a lot. Like, how can you be, totally naive to the fact that there's something wrong with this coin to the point where you're going to continuously spend it? Which is, again, one of life's greatest mysteries. And here we are. Here's another one. All right, I think this is the last piece of currency, but man, there's some banger currency that has popped up on this week's auction blocks. 1977 A $1 bill with a grossly misaligned and kind of like tilted overprint on there. You can see it plain as day. I mean, if you don't see it, I don't know what to tell you. Really cool note. This one sold for $182.89 with 34 bids. Geez, currency is still hot, and currency errors is white hot right now. There's a reverse showing all the circulation wear. There's even a little bit of a tear on the top margin there. Doesn't affect the value too much, but just shows you it's not the perfect note. And then finally, we're going to end it off on this bad boy. I mean, look at this thing. 1999p. Roosevelt dime. If you just look at the left side, you're like, whoa, that thing's like way off center by about 10-15%. And then you look on the back, you're like, hey, wait a minute. It's like perfectly centered, but you have all the weakness there on the left side. So this was struck by misaligned dies. So that obverse die, or probably at the time was the anvil die, the one that actually moves, was a little bit loose. So when it strikes the coins, it's not going to be plumb, on the strike with the reverse strike. And you get things that look like this, which is crazy. I actually have a few Washington quarters that are pretty well misaligned the same way that this one is. But where did this one end up selling for? I mean, it's a later date coin. It's Roosevelt dime, which some would believe is not very well collected at all. Well, I hate to break it to you, this one sold for $149.95, which is a gigantic amount of money for this error and this coin. It's a beautiful, beautiful specimen. But all good things must come to an end. You guys agree with me? That's all right. Have no fear. We're going to do more PCMRs throughout the rest of the summertime. I'm your host, Sean, with Blue Ridge Silverhound. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Hit that bell if you haven't done so already. Would love to hear your thoughts. Do you have a favorite on today's PCMR? Go ahead and post it below. Would love to hear what you think. And come join me on TikTok. Yeah, it's not my favorite place to be, but I got videos up there, and we're going to be putting more up before the end of the summer at Blue Ridge Silverhound. So that's going to wrap it up. You guys take care. Happy hunting. Would love to hear all of your successes. And if you want us to share your new coin finds, go ahead and send us an email at info@livecoinqa.com. We never know. We might pick your coin out to be on our live coin Q&A every Monday. That's going to go ahead and do it. You guys take care, and I will see you on the next coin video. So long.